What is good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Nat Clark Show. I'm your host, Nat Clark, and let's go ahead and get started for today's episode. So, I actually took a different approach for this episode. I went to a local barbershop in the Suffolk area, and I asked some of the barbers as well as the customers that were in the shop a few questions that I had prepared for them about who's better than who. Do certain rings count for that player? Is this coach better than the other coach? Just certain stuff that I felt like I wanted to hear an opinion from a grown male perspective. And so I took this approach and I actually went to the barbershop itself. Shout out to JR for letting me ask him questions as well as anybody who was in the vicinity of that shop. And I just wanted to see what their minds were and what their perspective was when I was asking these questions. And so, I do apologize in advance for the background noises, such as like blow dryers, hair cutting, things like that. But I was able to get some clear statements and some clear audio about what they were trying to say in response to my questions. So, first off, the first question that I asked everybody in the shop was, does Kevin Durant's rings count? And so I'm going to go ahead and play the audio back, and I hope you guys enjoy. You can say it. Rings don't count. I feel like he was the best player on that team. He was the best player. And he led that team to the ring. So how he did? Hold on. He did not. He was the best player. He was the best player on the team, but he didn't lead them to the ring. He came in guaranteed them that ring. That's what he did. He guaranteed it. He just locked it in, man. They won with downhill. They won the championship with downhill. The conversation through his rings count. If he deferred to anybody, then you just say it. But when you watch the TV and stuff, so that's why they always talk about that. Right. People try to say LeBron the same thing. They don't talk about LeBron thing like that. LeBron had to go down there and build it. Whatever they did, they were great, but they had to put that juice. So right, they had to do the walk, hold the shit. And it was already there. This year's am I right also? He did. But any given time, he can take a break and back to Curry, Clay out there. It's a little different. The work knows shit. We gotta stick to the question. If the question was, we gotta stick to the question. The question was, do his rings count? I gave up a percentage. All right. But before he went down, that's not in the question because we talking about his rings. So we gotta stick to the question. He was the best player on that team. He didn't defer to nobody, and he closed. He got Finals MVP both times he was there. How you gonna take it? You said he didn't defer to nobody. Nobody on that team deferred to nobody. Curry didn't defer to nobody. He got Finals. You don't have to throw that in there. I'm gonna say it again. He got Finals MVP both years. So you think it was impossible for him to win if he wasn't there? No. That don't have nothing to do with the question. That's another question. I think it's not. He left Oklahoma City. Same issue. We're not talking about his career. We're talking about his rings. His rings don't count because he already went to a daggone team with 3 All-Stars. He was the 4th All-Star. Who had 2 rings already? They had 2 rings already. Time out. I got. After that whole controversy about does Kevin Durant's rings count or not, of course the conversation shifted. So they started to ask whether if LeBron's rings counted. Well, they do count, but they started to ask how did LeBron get his rings in the terms of him going to Miami and then back to Cleveland, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and play the next audio of how they elaborated that whole scenario about LeBron's rings are how his rings definitely count, whereas Kevin Durant's rings don't.
With Bron, by himself, he took the Cavaliers on his back. He put a backpack. Time out. Name LeBron starting five when he went to the finals and played against those guys. You just proved my point by naming those guys. You gotta win though. But I'm just saying though, you great, but if you taking a team that, all right, so time out. So since he lost, let's already AI must be booty because everybody said, AI drugged him to the championship by himself. I'm not saying booty.
We're not saying we ain't saying a great player. No, it's just a difference. You can't say Charles Barkley ain't a great player.
Charles Barkley's a fantastic player.
All right, so him and AI in the same conversation.
All I'm saying is until he teamed up, he didn't get it done yet. Who? LeBron? LeBron. So I got a question.
That's true.
So you telling me an old Dwayne Wade by this time with no knees?
Until he took his talents to Miami.
Time out. He took his talents to Miami with Dwayne Wade on his last leg.
And got a ring, 2 rings.
I'm just saying, you can take Wade out the equation. You can't take Dwayne Wade out the equation because he ain't played 2 games out of the finals. He ain't played 2 games out,
and he's still supposed to win because he was the best player in the world. With Box.
That's what I'm saying.
Right there.
Yeah. KD leaves the Warriors. They go to the championship that very next year still. Now, even so, Brooklyn go deeper in the playoffs without him the year before he comes.
Did you just say something wrong?
The Brooklyn Nets was in the playoffs the year before he came. They went to the second round of the playoffs the year
They went to the playoffs without the ring.
He went to the finals. They lost in the playoffs the year after he left, and then the second year they win the championship. The Warriors. They only been going 2 years.
No, but they didn't go to no finals the year he left.
No, I'm saying the year he left, they went to the playoffs.
All I'm saying is
They went to the play-in. They went to the play-in. When broken, bruised, and injured.
So after that whole dispute about what has Kevin Durant done with a team that doesn't have other superstars, they answered that he has done nothing. And after answering that question, they also broke down, well, they shifted the conversation, first off, about who is the greatest scorer within the NBA. And in breaking down that conversation, one of the guys said that it has to do with preference. And I told him I totally agree with that. I said that numerous of times that it does have to do with preference because when you look at players, you can look at the stats all they want. But when you watch them and see them play and do the moves on how they get to the basket and shoot the ball, it has to do with preference. And so I totally agree with that. And here's an elaboration of what they had to say about it.
What has Durant done to lead a team without superstars?
Nothing. He didn't do it by himself. That Thunder team
LeBron
was
did it
good.
by himself, though.
That Thunder team was good. They had Serge Ibaka. At center, who was a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. They had Westbrook, who was playing lights out. He didn't pass the ball, but he was a baller.
But I
You know what I'm saying? You had
the
KD.
worst guard ever in history.
I mean, he's actually paying. He definitely needs to get a bucket.
Thank you. And then you go Dwayne.
that's all good. But outside of LeBron, you're not going to name another player that's nowhere near Durant besides being Kawhi. So look at the separation that you put in. These are all great players, right? These are all great players. But it's about preference, yo. If you ask me, is LeBron the best player, in his generation, I'm gonna say yeah. But if you ask me, would I pick Durant over LeBron for my team? I'm gonna say yes. And you're gonna say you crazy and blah blah blah. You can't build my team for me. It's preference. You know what I'm saying? Both of them are great, and that's it. Okay. The best scorer, you can't just talk about the ball going through the hoop. You gotta talk about the setup, how they get down.
You gotta go Jordan, Kobe.
Jordan can't shoot. Jordan can't shoot the three. Jordan can't shoot the three.
Not that well.
I'm just saying, you gotta add all of you gotta make one big score. You think Jordan can shoot the three?
You seen the fadeaway?
You say score. When you say score, you put
All right, so
everything.
check this. So why we not naming the person who leads the league right now and all around scoring?
Because he had an unstoppable move that nobody could stop. He would drop 15 with just this move. The sky hook. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That dude been that game was slow back. He didn't for no Jordan. Different time periods. Here you go. That's the scary part. They didn't have 3-pointers, and he's leading the league in scoring.
And he only made 1 3-pointer in his career.
Go back to Will. If you gonna do that, go back to Will.
Nobody go back to Will.
The world was black and white.
Did you hear what he said though? They didn't. He's joking, but the man didn't score 3-pointers, and he leads.
He only made 1, yeah.
And what do you think, Jay? You think he scored better than Jordan? No. Kareem? You remember Will? I can. You know what I'm saying? You think he scored better than Jordan? They didn't have. You wasn't shooting threes, the man. Leading the league scoring. You know how many times he got scored? That's crazy.
I ain't putting no Wilman out, and don't go Jordan first too.
Let me open your eyes to this here. If I got 40 and 15 in the fourth, that don't change your mind. Like these little things don't add to the conversation. If I'm leading the league in fourth quarter scoring,
That's true.
and I'm still the highest scorer. Now, how can you argue that I'm the best scorer? Period.
But see, that gets so situational because now let's talk about who you want to have the ball in the fourth quarter. I don't care who you say. I'm giving the ball to Kobe Bean Bryant if it's the fourth quarter.
Over Mike?
Over Mike. I'm giving the ball to Kobe
Man,
Bean
you
Bryant.
lost your mind.
I
was rocking with you, and now you talking crazy.
That's a bad but not over Mike.
There were definitely a lot of different opinions on who is the best scorer. But one thing that one of the men pointed out at the shop was the fact that nowadays, the game has become more situational. So in terms of that, like it starts to get to the point where who do you want to have the ball in their hands at the last 2 minutes or minute of the final games. So I can really understand why nowadays how scoring the ball is controversial, but whether you're doing certain things to get those points, it all really comes down to who's going to take you to the promised land when crunch time is really like ticking. So that's another thing that I thought was very vital in that conversation. Here's the second question that I asked, and that is, has Steph Curry passed LeBron James for all-time greatness? Now, I will say the response at first was pretty funny, but they elaborated and they brought out their points. So here you go.
Has Steph Curry passed LeBron James for all-time greatness?
No.
I know why.
He just got his first MVP foul.
That man is a liability on defense. He's going to score 35. I think his impact was greater than Bron's. But as far as being...
What? Elaborate. I gotta
Now, I'm going to rock with you on that one. Because nobody was chucking up 37-footers in the league. I give you that one. Man, you got grandma pulling up from... That's right. You got center shooting at the right.
But check this out, though. Listen,
I'm going with him on that one.
Curry changed the game shooting, right? LeBron changed the landscape throughout all sports. Then when LeBron started taking control of his own destiny, going from place to place, right? Now you see it trickle down to the NFL, MLB.
I take that. Okay. That's made the three-point shot equal to a slam dunk. When that ball go up, you like, you know what I'm saying? I will give you that. Hey, no defense in the world was saying, yo, we gotta stop the three-point shot. The three-point shot was one of them things, if they hit it and live and die, we're gonna lose this game. Right. But now you can't do that. Everybody can shoot too well. Look, you got 5 players who can hit the three on the basketball court. Since that man came in the league, every team is shooting twice as many three-pointers. Absolutely. Since he came in the league. That's very true. You want to know why the three-point line became so valuable to teams? And they're thinking about moving it back. Yeah. They're thinking about moving the three-point line back.
They talk about add a 4-point line at one point, but they're not doing that.
They're not going to add a 4-point line.
LeBron is the only guy. He's the only guy I can think of in history that can play all 5. That can start at all 5 positions.
Magic.
Whoa! Don't forget about
Magic. And won a ring doing it. Magic won a ring.
Magic Johnson started senior because I'm right too. They can't play either one of them play center, all 40 minutes. Eight up. Put one of them on Embiid, Joker, anybody for the whole game. 8 up. I don't know about so when you say play all 5 plays, and LeBron is a big boy. Yeah, I don't think you can play all 5, especially young.
Magic did it in the championship for that game.
No. Now Magic Johnson did. Magic Johnson did do it for the whole game. Do it when game 5. But you started center. Barbecue chicken. Well, started at center a couple games.
You said barbecue chicken one.
Barbecue chicken. That's funny.
I love it.
Well, on certain players, depending who they're going against. Not all 32 centers out there.
I'm thinking at that time, if we want to go back to Magic Johnson, I'm thinking
They end up the center that's good.
what? You got Hakeem Olajuwon, probably. Patrick Ewing. Yeah, I'm thinking who else would have just ate him up. I don't know about nobody. Don't make it seem like
I give it to you.
I felt the need to ask that question just to give people the perspective of why Steph Curry has not passed LeBron for all-time greatness. Rings do matter, and I think though, when in comparison to both players, though, you got to look and see how they both got their rings. LeBron took a team numerous of times and led in multiple categories just to reach the promised land and obtain those rings, whereas Steph Curry in his first year, he did lead his team, but he didn't get Finals MVP. However, his second and third ring, he wasn't even the best player on his team because Kevin Durant came in, dominated, and got those Finals MVPs. And then finally, he gets to his fourth ring, and he's really dominating, averaging over 30 points per game, and putting up those numbers that like he should. So, in comparison to both players, I really liked how the men in the shop really stated how, the finals MVPs and why it mattered, and how both players had to establish a foundation on winning and putting up the numbers that they need to put up in order to reach that success. And so I love the answers to that question, and I definitely love the response, even though it was pretty funny. But however, the breakdown was really good, and I'm glad that they said the answer that I was hoping for. One thing that one of the men has stated in that conversation was the 3-point shot and how it has progressed throughout the years and has become a necessity for most ball players. And so, and speaking of that, the 3-point shot has definitely changed the game. I think Steph Curry's 3-point shot, him being able to pull up from off the dribble or even just catch and shoot, has definitely changed the game because you have these young basketball players jacking up threes when really you can just go ahead and take it in, pull up for the mid range, or take it all the way to the rack. Now, I will say that the 3-point shot has become the new dunk, like one of the guys has said in that last audio. It has become the new dunk because not everybody can't dunk. I don't know a lot of female athletes that can even touch the rim. So the 3-point shot has definitely become the new dunk. So when you see it go up, you're like, yee. It's just the excitement behind it has been thrilling. And I think that is cool. But at the same time, certain shots that are taken behind the 3-point line they're not ideal. They're not needed, and most of the time they're contested. And so that's my problem with the 3-point shot. If you're going to take it, let it be a good shot and not contested. Let it be a good move, whether it's catch and shoot or off the dribble, and stay on balance with it rather than just jacking up shots when you can really just go ahead and take it in and get the easy bucket. And so with Steph Curry's 3-point shot, I feel like he has changed the game in that perspective. But has it been a great perspective? I'm not so sure. It has its benefits, but it also has its disadvantages because it all determines on when you're taking that shot and if it's a good shot or not. After talking about the whole dispute about whose rings count and has Steph Curry passed LeBron in all-time greatness. I decided to switch gears and go ahead and talk about the coaches and within the league. You know, I first start off by asking, is Greg Popovich a better coach than Phil Jackson? And I was I luckily got the response that I needed and that I wanted to hear. And they also, one of the guys had also asked, why isn't Mark Jackson? Let's talk about Mark Jackson and him not being a coach and his situation of getting fired, and then the Golden State Warriors turn around and gave him a broadcasting job, things like that. So they had a lot to say about those two topics, and so let's go ahead and give it a listen.
I think Greg Popovich is a better coach than Phil Jackson. Okay. I was hoping. Okay.
But if you look at it, Greg Popovich this last playoffs, all of the people who met in the semifinals in both sides was under him as coaches. Both of them. You can't not rate this man.
I hear a lot of talk about how Phil Jackson is better. I don't think so.
Man, Greg probably the best ever doing it, man. Well, Greg got five. He got 5 too, right? Greg Pop just got 5.
Yeah, 5 rings.
He got 5. Without a superstar. Without superstar. Popovich is really one.
You think he built Belichick? You think he Belichick?
So Greg Popovich and Belichick wasn't the star at that time. I mean, I would say Tim Duncan was like, but Greg Popovich didn't really have no stars. Like, who you have? Tim Duncan, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, he
Like, you might have had two Hall of Famers.
Tony Parker, yeah.
Tony Parker not going to the Hall of Fame, I don't think. Ginobili's not going to the Hall of Fame, I don't think.
I think they go for it.
They're going to have to be like 5th or 6th ballot. Oh, Tony Parker, Ginobili.
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing Hall of
They
Fame.
go, yeah.
Damn.
Both coaches have set an establishment and foundation of being all-time great coaches through winning, and I think that with that being said, when breaking down both coaches, Greg Popovich has never won back-to-back championships. He's never won back-to-back championships within his whole coaching career. He does have 5 championships though, and he's leading in wins as a coach. However, Phil Jackson has 11 championships, 2 of them as a player though. But he has three-peated on 3 different occasions. It's like Shannon Sharp has mentioned before. He's the king of three-peats. He three-peated twice with the Bulls and then once with the Lakers. But his coaching ratio percentage is 70%, while Greg Popovich's coaching percentage ratio is 65%. And I'm not saying that to putting shade from one coach over another. I'm just saying certain stuff like that does matter. And I was kind of hoping some of the guys would mention any of those things that I've just said, but they didn't. But I just wanted to throw that into fact that both of them are great coaches, and they have set a certain foundation of being great coaches because they knew how to win with the talent that was given to them. So moving forward, one of the guys answered the question of why isn't Mark Jackson a coach, and they also stated how while he was a coach, he took a team to the playoffs every year. From being a last ranked seed in the playoffs, he has taken them to the playoffs every single year under his leadership. And so one of the guys went into depth with that, and I'm going to go ahead and let y'all hear it.
I believe he's not in the league because he tried to bring church into the
that too, yeah. So he tried to bring church into the locker to make a praise, though. They used to do it.
And there was in this day and age, with the guys, it was that ain't, organizations ain't really,
But it's crazy because they used to pray before all the games in a lot of the
for sure.
They actually used to have chaplains. They still got them in the NFL. They got chaplains and stuff like that. So how you gonna kick it? I just think it's simply because he pissed somebody off at the higher level, and somebody made some phone calls on him.
But the proof in the pudding. And the man took the team further every year, man. From every year. From last place. They never went backwards under his leadership. But from last place. Yeah, from last place. He took them from last place. They was picking first every year. And now they go into the final, they go into the playoffs, and then they give it to Steve Kerr, who literally is on autopilot, bro. What crazy? I say the best coaching decision that Steve Kerr ever made his whole 10 years coach was inserting Iguodala into the starting lineup to guard LeBron. That championship. That was his singular best decision ever. And that's it. That ain't stop, man. Brown still dropping.
Yeah, he was still at 40.
But he was dropping 40, but he was containing the passing.
He
was taking away the stuff that
he was containing a lot of open ground.
You can't. That young LeBron, you couldn't stop him from scoring. Like just like Jordan, you can't stop him from scoring. You just gotta hope that you catch him on some other stuff and get him down.
Yeah, he was containing a lot of.
But then they gave it to Steve Kerr. I don't know why they gave it to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr came out of nowhere. He was like the 8th coach for the Spurs or something. Yeah.
There is a sense of gratitude towards Mark Jackson because he played a small yet pivotal role for the Warriors to become the winning franchise they are today. Even though he only coached between the span from 2011 to 2014, within those years, he helped bring those pieces together by incorporating Steph Curry to shoot the ball more and then Klay Thompson to keep firing those open threes like he always been getting. And I think with that, he is definitely a part of what the Warriors have become today. Steve Kerr did come in, as a new coach in 2015, and he basically put all those pieces together. And so when you have talent like that coming in as a new coach for Steve Kerr, he definitely incorporated everybody shooting the three after watching Steph shoot the ball as well as he did and Klay as well. But I think for Mark Jackson, it doesn't really make sense on why he hasn't gotten a coaching job within those 8 years that he has been dismissed from the Warriors. It doesn't make sense to me, but I feel like he definitely deserves his flowers because he has definitely helped the Warriors become become the team that they are today. And with that being said, hopefully in the future he'll be able to have an opportunity to coach again. In an interview with Shannon Sharp, he said he hopes that he knows actually that one day he'll be a coach again. When the right time comes and the right opportunity presents itself, I think that he'll be able to get that coaching job that he wants to have in the near future. And so I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. Thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of the Nat Clark Show. I'm actually starting this whole new series called Sports Debates at the Shop, where I'll go into barbershops and ask them nice sports controversial debates, conversations about, what's trending within today's professional athletes or college athletes. And so I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. Thank you all again. I appreciate y'all. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram, NatClark25. And if you have Colorcast, go ahead and follow me up there on NatClark25. Y'all stay safe out there, and God bless.